Hey there. Have you ever found yourself just wondering about stuff? You look up at the sky or you're in the kitchen and a question just pops into your head. You know the kind of questions I'm talking about. Like, why is the sky blue? Or how does a tiny little seed grow into a giant tree? And oh, here's my favorite. Why does popcorn make that awesome pop sound? Well, if you've ever asked questions just like that, guess what? You're already doing something totally amazing.
Yup, you heard me. The big secret is you're already a scientist. Seriously, because the number one most important part of being a scientist is just being curious and asking questions. Okay, so that brings us to the big question then. What exactly is science? It can sound like a huge, complicated subject, but I promise, it's actually something we can all do every single day.
When you get right down to it, science is simply about being curious and taking a moment to explore the world that's all around us. It's about looking, listening, and just wondering about everything you see.
I like to think of it this way. Being a scientist is kind of like being a detective for nature. How cool is that? You get to look for clues, ask a bunch of questions, and piece together all the answers to solve a mystery. It's a real adventure. And get this is the best part. You don't need a fancy lab or a white coat to be a great detective. You're actually born with all the tools you'll ever need. I like to call them your scientist's superpowers, and you've got 5 of them.
That's right, 5 built-in superpowers that help us explore and discover all sorts of clues about the world. So let's check them up.
First up, you have your sight for seeing all the amazing colors and shapes. Then there's hearing, to listen to birds chirping or music playing. You've got your sense of smell to sniff out flowers or maybe cookies baking. You have taste to explore different flavors. And of course, your sense of touch to feel if something is soft or smooth or even a little bumpy. These are your scientific instruments.
Now, when you use all these superpowers together, you're doing something with a pretty big name: observation. It sounds fancy, but really, it just means paying close attention and noticing all the little details about something. That's it.
So, are you ready to put those superpowers to the test? Because it's time for our very first experiment. We are going to become bug detectives.
Okay, your mission is simple. First, with a grown-up, of course, you're going to go outside and gently find a cool bug, like a ladybug or a roly-poly. Second, we'll use our observation skills to investigate. And third, and this is super important, we'll let our little bug friend go right back where we found it.
All right, detective, let's focus on step 2. Imagine you have your bug in a little clear jar so you can get a good look. It is time to activate those observation superpowers and let's get this investigation started. First, use that power of sight. Look really close. What colors do you see on it? Is it all one color or does it have cool spots or stripes? Okay, next, let's get a little more detailed. How many legs can you count? Are they long and skinny or are they short? This is fantastic detective work. Now try to look even closer. Do you see any wings? What about antennae on its head, those little feelers? Every single detail you notice is another clue that tells you more and more about your bug. Now, after you've finished all your amazing observations, it is time for the most important step. A true scientist always respects nature, and that means gently, carefully returning your bug friend right back to its home. And just like that, you did it. Congratulations, scientist. You just completed your very first scientific experiment. See, it's that simple. Let's break down what you just did. First, you asked a question, something like, what does this bug look like up close? Then you used your senses to make observations and gather clues. And finally, you found a conclusion. You learned all about your bug. That is the scientific method in action, right there. So always remember this. Being a scientist isn't really about knowing all the answers. It's about being brave enough to ask the questions. It's about exploring, discovering, and most of all, it's about having fun while you do it. The world is absolutely full of amazing mysteries just waiting for you to explore. You've got the superpowers and you've got the skills. So the only question left is, what will you discover next?